Hello, it's nice to meet you all. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm the staff attorney for the Investigations Department at the Oregon Humane Society. And typically when I introduce myself and tell people what I do, I get two reactions in quick succession. The first is, "You're a lawyer?" And that might be because I don't embody what they would traditionally expect from a lawyer. But that's perfect because I don't have a traditional lawyer job. I'm not sitting at my desk day in and day out writing memos and briefs and motions. I actually get to be in the field with our team of 8 responding to some of the most egregious abuse and neglect cases in Oregon. And another thing that's rare about my lawyer job is that many lawyers don't have the opportunity to be involved in the rescue of the victims that they then advocate for. But again, I get to be there on site when we're removing those victim animals from their situation, and I get to tell them in person, never again. After today, your life gets better. The other reaction that I get is, how could you do that job? I could never do your job. And my response to that is, how could I not? How could I not pair my aptitude for the law with my passion for protecting animals? That's not to say that it's easy. I have to put up a wall as sort of a self-preservation between my emotional response to cases and my professional response to cases, so that I can provide the impartial work product that's expected of a law enforcement entity and not let my emotions impact the quality of that. That being said, there's weak spots in my wall, and there's some cases that just come sailing through and hit me right in the heart. And those are frequently cases that involve both human and animal victims in the same circumstances, undergoing the same type of abuse or neglect. There is a direct link between animal cruelty and violence against humans. People who abuse animals also commit violent offenses against humans. The direct link is solidified in Oregon's statutory law. This is Oregon giving weight to the statistics and acknowledging that this is not a rumor, it's not a suspicion, it's reality. And the statistics are staggering. A child witness to animal cruelty is 8 times more likely to become a violent offender themselves. 8 times. And it doesn't happen as infrequently as you would want to think. It's 76% of the time that animal cruelty is happening in a home, the child is also present. Also, aggression towards animals has been a recognized symptom of conduct disorder for many years. And that means that those offenders are also more likely to commit crimes like rape or arson or assault. Finally, where we see the connection most often in our cases is when there's a domestic violence element. Women, it's been documented, delay leaving their abusive situation because they're afraid of what's going to happen to the pets that they have to leave behind. In fact, just a few weeks ago, there was a hearing in front of the state legislature, and a victim advocate told a story about a pregnant woman who threw her body across her dog to protect it and stop the beating from her abuser. That just shows how strong that bond is between a victim and their pet, that she would put her life and her unborn child's life at risk to protect it. We use the tools that we have to investigate and prosecute these cases to the fullest extent that we can. But what if we had more tools or better tools, the newer tools? What if there was stronger cross-reporting laws and specialized training to go along with it, so that first responders to a domestic dispute would also acknowledge the animal in the room that might be a potential victim and know what red flags to look for and who to report those to? Or what if we had a state-of-the-art veterinary forensics facility so that we could document the injury that the animal is presenting with now, but also charge that person with past injuries that the animal has sustained at the hands of that abuser, and build up the charges and enhance the criminal record of that person? And finally, what if there was a safe haven for victims to bring their pets to that would empower them to leave their situation, and then we would get to reunite them with their pets at the end, on the other side of that? We see the connection to human violence all too often in our cases, and these new and better tools might help us save animals like this cat booger in this case.
New at 6 tonight, a local man accused of beating up his girlfriend's cat could spend some time behind bars. Travis Warner Tamarius pled guilty to animal abuse and domestic abuse charges last week. In March, the Oregon Humane Society started investigating him after his girlfriend brought this cat in to be treated for some serious injuries. Well, investigators later discovered that Warner Tamarius had punched and slapped the animal several times. They say he'd been abusing his girlfriend. Warner Tamarius will be sentenced in November.
So this reporter said punched and slapped several times. He hit her 15 times. She couldn't, when we intervened, open or close her mouth to eat. And he also admitted to abusing the other cat in the home on multiple occasions, giving her bloody noses, and to abusing his girlfriend over the 4 months that they had been together. Now I know that you are all here because you care about animals. But if this picture makes you want to turn away, then I challenge you to think of a quote that I rely on often, and that is to think occasionally of the suffering of which you spare yourself the sight. This is that occasion where we owe it to her to bear witness to her suffering so that we can think forward in trying to end suffering for future victims in these situations. The defendant in this case pled to aggravated animal abuse and domestic assault, and Booger was brought back to health through our hospital, and we came through on our promise to Booger, and her life is better since we intervened. There's many cases where you can say never again to the animal, but there are also cases where sometimes it's too late. And this next story about a kitten named Carmelo exemplifies the need for a proactive campaign to combat that simultaneous existence of animal and human violence. Carmelo was owned by a woman who lived with her boyfriend. She was a tortoiseshell kitten that required weekly flea baths. And one week, the girlfriend was going to be out of town, so it was the boyfriend's responsibility to do the bath. And like a typical kitten, Carmelo wasn't cooperating with the bath. And he lost his temper, and he beat her so severely that she had to be euthanized for her injuries, multiple broken bones and internal injuries. When this crime report came across my desk in the normal course of my workday, it's about 7 pages, and I was reviewing it, and I got to page 5 and a sentence that I couldn't move past, and that was that the neighbor telling our officer that the girlfriend was pregnant. And my heart sank because I know the statistics, and I felt powerless to help that future potential victim of this defendant. So he pled guilty to animal abuse in the first degree. He got some jail time. He had to undergo mandatory anger management classes. But that still doesn't alleviate my worry for the unborn child in this case. So let Carmelo's story be the cautionary tale that spurs the movement toward a proactive approach to these cases through specialized training, through the advanced forensics, and through the safe haven for victims' pets. Make it known to the offenders in the community that there will be a multidisciplinary response to the injustice that they're perpetrating on these victims. Through our existing partnerships and the army of supporters that OHS has, we are poised to revolutionize the response to these cases. So please, help me make good on my promise to the animals that we rescue, and let them know that their suffering is not in vain and that from this day forward, their lives will be better. Thank you.